Hey, what's up, friends? Eric Crumbaker coming at you from Real Estate and Shit. Thanks for tuning in. First and foremost, be sure to subscribe below. Be sure to leave some comments, good, bad, or ugly. We do not care. We just like your comments. So yeah, thanks for tuning in. We have some really unique and cool topics for you guys today, so we won't bore the shit out of you. And also, we got a new guest here today. So before I jump into topics, let's introduce our new guest. And if you do not know her, we have the acclaimed Shar Cosentino, broker owner of Element. How are you today, Shar?
I'm doing wonderful, Eric.
Oh, that was a nice tone.
I'm very thankful that you invited me.
Oh, you are? Well, why are you thankful that I invited you? Tell me.
Well, I feel that podcast is one of the things that were on my bucket list, and I told Sadie that I have to check that off.
I love it. So let's prep you a little bit. As you speak, talk a little more closer to the mic.
Okay.
There you go. Now we can hear you.
Oh, wonderful.
So you might want to say that over again. Why are you so grateful about podcasts today?
Well, I'm grateful because podcast has been on my bucket list for almost a year. So when I started videos, I said I wanted to do a podcast.
Okay.
So now I've done my videos and I'm still on track, but this is my first podcast.
Check.
Well,
Shar, welcome to our podcast, Real Estate and Shit. How funny is this, Sadie? The first podcast on her bucket list is called Real Estate and Shit. You know, coming from proper Shar, she's on a podcast with a bad word on the title. So, Shar, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you, Eric.
I love it. And we're going to have fun today. Yeah. And then you all know the beautiful Sadie. Sadie, how are you?
Woo, woo, woo. I'm great.
The shit part of the podcast?
Yeah, well, technically, yes, but but that's the fun part, too.
It is, Sadie, you bringing so much joy to our podcast. So I'm thankful for both of you ladies today.
Me too.
So,
I miss Chris, though.
I will always miss Chris. Chris is just out today. He's on some appointments. The guy's a busy man. He's out taking listings left and right. So, yeah, go get him today, Chris. All right, so Shar's first time, you know, she's never been on this podcast or any podcast. So, Shar, this is Real Estate and Shit. So how we run Real Estate and Shit, Shar, is very simple. So what we do is we feel being in real estate, being in the trenches like yourself, being a listing agent, we notice that most of the topics throughout the country on headlines are just so full of shit. They make these crazy claims and headlines, and when you actually read through the article, most times it has nothing to do with the headline at all, or the information's bad, or they're steering the audience, the readers, to go one way or the other, which isn't necessarily the truth of what's happening in the market. So what we're doing is we're destroying real estate articles and having fun with them because we're the ones that understand how real estate really works. And then on the later part of the segment, we kind of go over some fun topics that are just happening in the market. Like, you know, we have R.I.P. She was an amazing woman. Queen Elizabeth passed away today. We have some stuff on Yeezy. What are some fun things that we have for the end of the topic today? California, the no gas law, and then having the new. I think we have a storm coming for the first time in Southern California. That could be a hurricane. So we got some fun topics as well. That's the shit part. Yeah, that's how the podcast gets ran. Shar, do you have any questions before we really jump into it for the viewers?
Actually, I'm just excited to be a part of this, and you're right, the media does persuade you to believe one thing or another, and sometimes I question it myself.
Yeah, right.
It makes me want to look further into more research because I don't feel that it's always accurate, and it is one-sided. So thanks for having me.
I completely agree. Well, you know, it's funny, before I really get into some topics, because I do have a great topic for us to start off, but I was actually going to start today. I just got back from La Quinta this last weekend, and my parents-in-law, or my father-in-law, parents-in-law, is that what they're called, parent-in-laws?
Just in-laws,
my in-laws,
yeah.
And my wife and I, we went real estate shopping. So we looked at a couple homes in Palm Springs and La Quinta, and what a great time to be in the market buying property. Oh my gosh, I was just actually texting my buddies about this in one of my finance committee text messages that we have. And I said, looked at property this weekend. It was such a great experience looking at property because there aren't 1,000 people looking at property right now. It's just a few people looking, and the property's still in the market. It gave us time to think about it. It's not like you have to come in and rush through and be like, take my pocket, take my money, do everything you want. Take my kids too. Give me that home. Now it's like you can walk in and you can think about the home. You can think about like the coloring. You can think about the baseboards and things that you would have overlooked before. And it just felt good as a buyer's side to be on this side of the equation, looking at property again, feeling that I actually could get the home that I want. I don't have to like give them, my firstborn child to get the house these days. So before I started this topic, I just, from not being in the real estate, but on the buying side, it just felt great. It feels like a really good time to go and buy real estate right now. Shar, Sadie, where do you guys feel on that? And I'm going to bring up an article in a second to kind of support this. But what do you guys feel right now?
Well, I kind of feel that bidding wars are over, but in some cases they're still apparent when there's low inventory, right? So it's not like we're over that hurdle.
Yeah.
But in most cases, there's the bidding process being, in competition. I don't think we have that as much. And I think that is kind of settling the market. It's becoming more normal, which is good. I mean, I think it's all healthy.
I completely agree. Definitely healthy. Sadie, talk to me.
Well, we went to Havasu last weekend,
Okay.
which was really fun. And there are so many homes that are for sale out there.
Are there?
And oh my God, so many. And we were looking, we're like, let's just buy a house in Havasu. But they're really strict about Airbnb. So you already know
they
that.
are?
You know that drama.
I don't know the drama.
Oh, yeah. I was talking. Well, I mean, like.
Are they keeping
kinda like
Airbnbs out of Havasu as well? It's stupid.
Yeah, I think it's the community and whatever.
Communities
that
are
was like
stupid.
The first thing I heard, these Airbnbs, blah, blah, blah. I think it's also the demographic of the area.
Yes. La Quinta, same kind of thing.
Exactly. That's why I'm like, you kind of, So, but the houses are not that expensive. Apparently, they're way more expensive.
Well, it's in
than before.
Havasu. It should be a little cheaper, right?
Yeah, I know. It's 155 degrees out there.
Yeah.
But
Every
we were
day.
just looking, and there were so many that were on the market for like 45 days, 85
Well,
days.
yeah,
And
especially in
that's
that market.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's becoming more normal here for
Yeah.
it to be on the market for a month. Like, that's a normal thing, like
Yeah.
we talked about. But I was like, man, now's a good time.
Now's
to
a good
buy
time.
house.
And just think that if I'm thinking that, Shar's agreeing with me, you just got out of Havasu and you were thinking how much of a good time it is to buy a home. We can't be the only 3 people in the world on this podcast that are thinking this. The smart people out right now are making moves. I'll tell you that. And by the way, side note, if you are on the fence that you don't like Airbnbs in your neighborhood, please DM me. Please leave a message below. I'd love to have a conversation with you about why you feel Airbnbs is bad for your market or bad for your neighborhood, because you are terribly misinformed. Anyways, that's just my 2 cents on that.
We're going to have this is going to cause problems.
We
We're gonna
should
have
have
an Airbnb. Yeah.
I'm okay with that. I will fight to the nail and tooth because people that don't feel like Airbnbs are good for their neighborhood just do not know how much it really benefits them from having Airbnbs. You just have to be responsible and have responsible people with permits. There's a way to do it. Either way, completely different episode. Okay, so, talking about what a great time it is to buy right now. I have this new article I wanted to bring up from both of you. It's actually from U.S. News. I actually don't know much about U.S. News, but it says, as housing market cools, this is the headline, as the housing market cools, home buyers regain leverage. And it goes on to say, Los Angeles, years of soaring home prices and sharply higher mortgage rates remain hurdles for many would-be buyers, but new data shows that they're regaining some leverage at the negotiating tables as housing market as it slows. An analysis at Homes data by Redfin shows that an average U.S. home purchased during the 4-week period of August sold for less than what sellers were asking. That hasn't happened since March of 2021. Just so you know, it doesn't really say in this article, but I want you guys to know it's actually hilarious. So, Shar, it says that for the first time since 2021, homes sold for less than what sellers are asking. It's 0.03%.
Oh my God.
Hold on, but we're not going to get into that. It's in a different article. I just read all the article. Yeah. Don't get me wrong. It's still positive. Homes are obviously going for under what the market value or what the asking price is, but not much. It does say the average listed price ratio, a measure of how closely homes are selling to their asking price, fell to, ready? You guys ready for this? A whopping 99.3% in the 4 weeks. The ratio before that was 101.4. Kiss FM. So it really hasn't come down that much. It looks like it came down maybe 2%. Ratios above 100% indicate homes on average are selling at or above their asking price. So obviously that's a common sense one. So what do you guys think about this? What do you guys think about, obviously we just talked about it, but it switching from, in my opinion, I feel it was very neutral, both good for buyers and sellers, but I do feel the tides are slowly turning. I do think buyers are having more leverage at the table than they did last week, the week before, the month before, and the month before. Every week, the buyers having a little more leverage based on more inventory, less buyers out there. If you guys know, interest rates rose again today, close to 6%, which I'm sure scared a lot of people. So what are your thoughts on this?
Well, I definitely think it's about leverage because we are leveraging a lot of different ways, but I also think it's about really giving your sellers, because I am a listing agent, so your sellers need to have the data. So they need to know their city neighborhood data. It's not the city of Los Angeles or the city or county of San Bernardino.
Okay.
It's kind of, you got to go down to the city that you live in and then give them the data about the percentages of what sold last month and the month before, so you can analyze the data. So I think data is important, but I also think that if you price it right to begin with, then you should, experience the opportunity to have a lot of different interest when you have it priced right, compared to if it's priced too high, thinking the market's going to catch up, it's not. Then you have to realize that you have to fix it. So why fix it? Because you lost time on the market, which means money. So therefore, you should go in with the right price to begin with. But my theory is buyers are looking for incentives. They're looking to buy down that interest rate. They don't want to pay 6%, but they can pay 5.5% if they buy down that interest rate by cost that the seller can participate. Instead of doing a price reduction, just reduce the incentive opportunity. Not the reduced price, but to give them the incentive to get full price, but to get the lower interest rate. We can do that if we educate our sellers, and their home will sell.
Okay.
Yeah, and we're going to have actually one of our lenders that we use often, more than often, Jason, come in, and he's going to kind of explain that.
Yeah.
He's going to explain that next week to us, and also on the podcast soon, too, because that's something that's
I
super
definitely can't wait to, I definitely want to go over that topic. As much as
it's a big one.
I think that's a little off topic for what I was just talking about, though.
Well, interest rates going up today.
Yeah.
That was a big thing.
Okay.
And then just the leveraging of what we have to do in this market to get our clients.
Yeah, but we're talking about, is this a buyer's market, seller's market? Talk to me on that front, please.
Well, it's a buyer's market.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you have to understand the sellers have to be educated on that. So what can they do to be in place for their competition? So they're in competition with other listings now because our inventory is increasing.
Okay.
So we have to make sure that our sellers are prepared to know what they have to do in order to be the one that gets selected for the offer, because not all of them are going to get offers.
Okay. So is it a buyer's market, seller's market?
It's a market that both sides of the
She's so
fence.
political.
No, listen, but both sides of the fence actually have opportunity if they go to what they need to understand and learn about the market. And that's our job.
Okay. That makes sense. It's coming from a listing agent. This all makes sense.
The way we kind of break down, I was gonna say the way that we break down all of our news articles and things like that. There's always gonna be bias from everyone, and Char's like one of the top listing agents in this area.
She's damn good at it. I'm confused right now.
Listing agent, and that's why she. Well, this is why people like to sell. She knows how to talk to sellers.
She does,
and she knows how to make sure to position the home properly or reposition it depending on the market, so that way sellers are more interested and intrigued, and that's why our homes sell more than. I'm not trying to hype us up,
Sadie,
but
I get
that's
it,
the dumb version.
I'm a seller.
That's how it works.
I'm a seller, and I was talking to you as a seller, and I was confused by your jargon, so it was phenomenal. Well done.
Well, my job is not to confuse you.
Not confused. You debunked my theory in my mind that it's a buyer's market, and you had me thinking, okay, maybe it still is opportunity for sellers to kind of get what they want. So yeah, I think that was well put.
Yeah. And if you look at our inventory, the housing inventory, it's still not where it needs to be technically a buyer's market.
Correct.
But because you were saying earlier the tides are turning, it definitely feels like we're in a wave that's about to.
Tides are turning, and I think they're actually turning faster than most people think, believe it or not. 2 months ago, we had an inventory of 2 in Claremont. 2.
Yeah.
Dos amigos. 2. And now we have an inventory of 53. Okay. It doesn't sound like a lot, but if you do the math on a month-over-month basis, that's a huge increase.
Right. I think that was just a lot of sellers thinking that they wanted to get on the bandwagon and they missed the boat, and they're just trying to see if it's,
you know what?
if it's still there.
Shar, you're correct on that, but I also think it's a lot of what Chris kind of has been talking about on our podcast in the past. A lot of people that are out selling right now are the ones that couldn't buy because they were contingent, and they couldn't purchase because nobody was taking contingencies for 2 years. So finally, as there are less buyers competing and contingencies are going to be more normal, these buyers and mixed sellers who've been missed out for the last 2 years because they couldn't put their home in the market, to buy, they're out in the market right now.
Yeah.
So you're seeing a lot more listings hit the market because they actually have leverage to go out and finally purchase.
Yeah.
So it's a great, guys, it is the best time to buy real estate right now. I don't care what anyone says. Shar's talking about buying down your rate. You can refinance later. It doesn't matter. There's less people buying. You can actually take a breath, find the home you want. There's multiple options. You're not forced into things. It's just ridiculous. If you don't believe me, the stats are just crazy. But let's keep moving on. So it's funny, Sadie, I actually have this article I pulled up from Broke Agent Media, and it was their top article because we discovered it, or we talked about it last week. It's from deceleration, because we talked about from the difference between decline and deceleration.
Yeah.
And this is from deceleration to decline. So, Shar, I'd like to get your input on this. I'm going to read this article to you, and I kind of want to get what your 2 cents in this. So, the headline is, again, Shar, from deceleration to decline. And it says, the headline is enough to make anyone pause. I agree. Including real estate agents. I agree. Who have recently been reassuring their consumers by saying the market is decelerating, not declining, which we have been saying. But according to the latest Mortgage Monitor report from Data and Analytics Division of Black Knight Incorporated, the deceleration in the growth of home prices shifted to actual decline. The report shows a decline from June 2022, while year-over-year home prices continue to grow. Even so, it's the first month-over-month decline from Black Knight's data sets in nearly 3 years. Over 31 consecutive months of home price growth, July saw a decline of, you guys prepared for it? You guys sitting down?
Can I guess?
Please, yes. You guys.
0.004%.
No, it's close, Sadie.
I feel like it's going to be one of those ridiculous numbers.
Do I set it up terribly like that? Is that what I do? I kind of like foreshadow it a little bit with you sitting down?
No, you don't foreshadow it. Every other article that does the same. It's crazy.
I know.
You're going to lose $7.
Here it is. Here it is. Over 31 consecutive months of home growth, July saw a decline of 0.77% from June. The biggest drop since January 2011. Annual appreciation is still in double, but it goes on to state this: annual appreciation is still in double digits at over 14%. Does the shift to month-and-month over decline speak to what's coming in our fourth quarter? Shar, let me ask you a question on that. Is it foreshadowing what's possibly going to happen, or is this something that we don't even need to discuss because it's just going to be a blip on the radar, because in all reality, this is just part of the process?
I think everyone has an opinion, and a lot of people speculate. There's really no hard evidence. If you go back in time...
Well, this is evidence right here.
Well, but it's a short term, and is it across the United States? Is it in California? Is it...
This is national.
So national. So therefore, it's so hard to reason with the facts if it doesn't apply to where we are today in our own community, boots on the ground.
Okay.
So, in my opinion, I've been doing this for over 30 years, and I've seen the high market, the low market, and everything in between, and we've gone through a recession. But, people still have to have homes. People still have to sell. People always are moving. Either they're moving up because they have a family growth, or they're downsizing because they don't need the big home anymore, or they're moving out of state, or they're moving closer to jobs.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a zillion reasons why people move and why they need housing. So I just don't feel like housing is always going to be a need, no matter what the market is.
Okay.
And every market's going to fix itself over time.
You are such a listing agent. Answer the question. Are we decelerating or are we declining?
I think we're going through a shift. So yes, we're just declining, and we were going to accelerate. It's just how the market rolls.
I said, are we decelerating or are we declining? Not accelerating, D with a D, double D. Are we decelerating or are we declining based on this article?
Yes.
This article is stating, Shar.
Currently, we are That is true.
Okay, let me restate the article for you because I feel like you're a little confused.
I'm not confused.
Okay, the article is asking,
Article's always right, but go ahead.
No, it's a question. It's not stating, are we decelerating? Are we in a deceleration phase?
Yes.
Or are we in the declining phase?
The difference is that
What's the definition? They're both the same, for God's
They're
sake.
not. Okay.
if you watch our podcast
and
last
Shar,
week,
if you watched our podcast, you would have understood what the hell we're talking
that was
about.
a homework question.
Sorry,
That was a pop
I
quiz.
was out.
Okay,
I was out selling houses, listing property.
Shar. A deceleration is going from 0 miles per hour to 25 miles per hour and decelerating to 23 miles per hour. Okay?
High speed, low speed.
Okay? A decline is you're just declining. You're just going down. There's no acceleration. You're just decelerating. Okay. So what it's saying is
we're not declining.
the market was going so fast, it's just decelerating a little bit.
Correct.
Not the market's declining.
Correct.
So there's a specific difference that we are actually discussing today. So, I'll be honest with you. I probably should have clarified exactly what the two things meant to begin with.
Right.
So let me ask you, are we decelerating or are we declining?
We're decelerating,
So this article's wrong.
in my opinion. Yes.
You know what? I'll be honest with
I think
you.
every article's wrong, so don't worry.
Well, the
I
truth of the matter
totally
is
agree.
0.77% in my opinion means we're not declining at all. It means something just was able to hit the data report and they're like, oh, we're declining. In all reality, I think we're still in a deceleration. I think Shar is completely correct. I do not believe we are declining at all. You know what's really interesting about 2007 and 8, which Shar kind of brought up, is the difference between here, then, and now is sellers have so much equity in their homes these days. They have over 50% of equity, plus loans aren't being drawn up like they used to be drawn up. There's such higher standards. So when you really put all these things together with inventory still being severely down, whether it be 55 homes from 2 in 2 months, that's still not enough homes to really hit where you can actually feel a difference in it. So I don't see a decline happening at all. I've always said this. I don't care. Anyone says we can debate it all day long. This is a healthy market. It's a great market to be in. I don't care if you're a seller or a buyer. I understand, don't get me wrong. People look back and they're like, oh my God, selling 3 months would have been great. Yes, of course it would have been great. You would have got a price that you wouldn't have gotten now. But I'll be honest with you, that's a price you probably should never have gotten anyways. We were at a place that the prices were just too high. Now it's still a really good price to get. If you're a seller, you're still going to get what you want. The buyer's still going to get what they want. It's actually a time where you can both walk away happy, in my opinion.
I agree.
So as this article closes, it says, on the week's episode, actually doesn't, that's the end of the article. So I'm going to go, moving on from that article, I'm going to go on to a Bloomberg article, Shar and Sadie. This is actually a very interesting article. It says, U.S. consumers see home prices falling for the first time in 2022. Another one kind of very similar to the last article. It says Fannie Mae survey shows, wow, huge decline, 0.4%. I mean, that's like Niagara Falls decline, Like, what
does that even mean,
What do
though?
you do to those type of declines?
Yeah, I'd like to see a number. Like, it went from this number to this number.
It's not even it's not even 1%. It's 0.4% decline. Expected rental prices are rising faster than 2010. So this is from Bloomberg. It says for the first time in 2 years, U.S. consumers expect home prices to fall over the next 12 months. So they're forecasting, Shar. An August survey of Fannie Mae found that respondents see a 0.4 decline in housing prices compared with the prior month's expectations of 0.1% increase. Consumers also anticipate that rental price growth will slow, with year-ahead expectations dropping nearly 2 percentage points. The steepest slide in data back to 2010, according to the survey. Interesting. It says Fannie Mae's report found that a share of respondents who say home prices will go up in the next 12 months decreased to 33% from 39%, while 39%, while the percentage who expected them to fall increased 3% points from 30 to 33%. Does that make sense?
That was a lot of numbers for me.
Yeah, it was.
I think it's a play on words.
Play on words or not, it says the U.S. consumer sees home prices falling for the first time in 2020. Believe it or not, I think they can just say home prices decelerating. in 2020. Not falling, because I don't think prices are necessarily falling. They're softening. They're balancing out.
Exactly. And I've always mentioned that in my presentations to my clients. Listen, the market's just correcting itself. We're going to see a correction, and this is just how it plays out.
I agree. Sadie?
I don't know. I can only give you what I see in our office. And while we do see some price improvements, which is basically a nice word of saying we reduced the price by a little bit.
Yeah.
It is a great time to buy, but it doesn't seem like everything's changing. Prices are falling. The sky is falling. Like Shar said, it is a play on words. They're choosing words. They're choosing really doomsday, this and that. 0.4% seems like you guys were just saying it's decelerating a little bit.
In our reality, we shouldn't even have this podcast because I'm out purchasing right now and I'm not trying to give you guys help. So that's how much of a great opportunity, in my opinion, it is to go out and buy real estate right now. It's just, I love these articles. Let these articles continue for another year, please, while I put all my ducks in order so I can purchase as much property as freaking possible. Bloomberg, way to hit it out of the park on that one. We actually have another article. This is from Business Insider. Business Insider says, it's a terrible time. You guys ready for this? Shar, here's the headline for you. It's a terrible time to both buy and sell real estate. So it's saying don't buy or sell. And it says, here it goes. Americans are becoming increasingly pessimistic about the U.S. real estate market. Sellers are holding out amid stalled prices, while mortgage rates have put many buyers' plans to pause. Fannie Mae Home Purchase Sentiment Index fell for the sixth consecutive month in August. The real estate market is in limbo. On one hand, mortgage rate hikes have many would-be buyers waiting on the sidelines, and sellers aren't enticed to sell at red-hot pandemic price growth cools. It all leads to increasing pessimism about the housing market's future. Although buyers and sellers are not facing a downturn as severe as 2008 foreclosure crisis, home sentiment is growing progressively bleak. Data from Fannie Mae shows that consumers' perceptions on home buying and selling, as well as expectations regarding future home prices and mortgage rates, have steadily worsened, according to Tuesday's report. Man.
I'll say this.
Tell me, Sadie, because I'm actually depressed reading that right now.
Let me give it to you. As a prospective buyer, don't get excited. I'm not going to buy anytime soon. But, I would like to, but we'll get there. I'll let everyone know when it's time. Well, once Jason comes in, he's probably going to convince me that I can get a house for free.
True.
So, the market a year ago when I started this job was way more bleak in my eyes. I'm like, there's no way. I see lines out the door at open houses.
Remember that one time?
Don't even, oh my gosh. But like people everywhere. Everyone wants to buy. I don't want to compete with that because I know what that means. I'm going to pay way, way, way more above asking price. And there's no incentive for me. That I'd never even thought a year ago, I could buy a house in the next couple of years. Now I'm like, oh, this is even more of a possibility. It seems way more optimistic in my eyes. So that didn't depress me at all. That just made me think, okay, well, this person's a writer and they're mad because they didn't sell their house at the right time. I don't know. But for buyers, it doesn't look bleak. It looks optimistic as hell. So that's my feeling about it.
You remind me of a really smart person, Sadie, because what do they say? When there's fear, be greedy, and when there's greed, be fearful. Seems like everyone's fearful right now, and you are definitely on the greedy side. So congratulations, because it's true. Right now, we are at a time that things are shifting, and I feel it's a great time to be greedy because I feel as a buyer, I'd be out buying right now. So I took this article from CNBC News. This came out 4 hours ago. It's from their Money Market Watch, and the headline is mortgage rates hit 5.89%, the highest level since 2008 housing crash. Shar, ooh, you remember those days? Says U.S. mortgage rates continue to rise, hitting the highest levels in almost 14 years and pushing even more would-be buyers out of the market. Mortgage buyer Freddie Mac reported Thursday that the 30-year jumped 5.89% from 5.66 last week. That's the highest long-term rates ever been since November 2008. Just after the housing market collapse set off a great recession. 1 year ago, the rate stood at 2.88%. Also, Mortgage rates dropped to some of their lowest marks ever during the corona pandemic, but that has lifted off since the Federal Reserve announced in March that it was raising its benchmark short-term interest rate, which is the 30-year fix. The average rate on the 15-year fixed mortgage rate, popular among those looking to refinance their houses, rose to 5.16, up from 4.98 last week. That's the first time the 15-year rate has been above 5% since 2009, Shar. As real estate market went into a long-term slump last year, at this time, the rate was 2.19%. Says the jump in mortgage rates typically means home buyers will pay up to $600 more per month for a conventional 30-year mortgage, according to Moody's Analytics chief economist Mark Zandi. It's a lot of information. What do you guys think about the mortgage rates hitting 5.89%, and how do you feel about this article of everything they're stating? Actually, I'll be honest with you, from what I'm reading, it's just kind of an accurate article with numbers and facts, and I'm okay with that. What about you, Shar? What do you see right now with interest rates rising? Let's say, what do you see in 3-6 months from now?
Well, I mean, it's hard to say what's going to happen in 3 to 6 months, but I can say currently that the interest rates is correcting the market. So it's their only way that they can correct the housing market. So that's the rise in interest rates. However, it's going to soften the price point of home sales because the interest rate is going to cause buyers to pause and say, hey, I can't really afford that payment at, say, $900,000, but, you know, with it being now at 6%, now they're talking about their house payment, you know.
Essentially, it's doubled.
I mean, it's honestly doubled.
Yeah.
So I think it's causing a lot of buyers to pause, and I think their affordability level has shrunk a little bit, which has caused them not to purchase. And I think that housing pricings have to match the affordability in order for us to move forward.
So if I'm reading between the lines, kind of like this whole topic of this entire podcast for real estate and shit, all I'm hearing is, if you can buy.
Correct.
I mean,
true, though.
So theatric.
I mean,
you can. But keep in mind, our millennial population now.
they need to all smarten the F up.
Right, but when I'm saying they're the largest population moving through the system,
Yeah.
I'm a baby boomer, so
They're larger than you.
We were big at one time, and everything happened because of us.
Yeah.
We had more schools.
And
more
what were you paying in
parks.
interest rates back in the day? Come on, give it to me, woman.
It was like 8%.
Exactly.
But homes were 60,000, 70,000.
Everything's relative.
I'll take a house for 60,000.
Yeah.
It's fine.
Yeah, and hit it.
Well, no,
Not even in Hemet.
You're right.
My first house was 30,000. You know, and interest rates were 8.5, 8.75,
Okay.
9%. So
Okay.
that
Things have
doesn't-
changed.
But that doesn't matter anymore because it doesn't exist. But my point is that we have to adjust to, in order for us to move forward in real estate and
Yeah.
people buying and selling, they have to make adjustments, right?
Yeah.
So it's payments. People are comfortable with what they can afford, and baby boomers are making more money than I did at that same age.
You mean millennials?
Millennials. Baby
Yes.
boomers are retiring. So
Yes.
we're set incomes now where baby boomers are no longer able to afford. So they're downsizing, moving out of California. Millennials are buying. So there are buyers.
Okay,
Oh.
I will say one thing.
Yeah. What's up?
If you compare, it's like people millennials aren't all making minimum wage, but if you compare the minimum wage today
Yeah.
to the minimum wage back in like the 70s or
Okay.
80s,
Okay.
and then you look at the price for a home or rent,
Okay.
same time,
Okay.
the gap is much larger. So the amount of money that people are making now didn't catch up quite with the amount of the way that rent and housing shot up, at least in California.
Okay. So
I will put that out there. Not that we're all making
I'm a
minimum
big
wage, but-
dummy. So put that in layman's terms. Are you telling me
okay.
that? Hold on. Let me just tell me if I'm correct if I say this.
Okay.
People are making less money in minimum wage to support the high prices in homes compared to back in the day. It was closer together based off the minimum wage. You could probably buy a home. Now, these days, our minimum wage doesn't support what it takes to buy a home.
Yeah, that wage didn't grow as
Correct.
fast as the rates of.
And I feel the reason that is happening, Sadie, it's population control. I feel there's such a larger population in the world and in the country and in specific markets that there aren't enough jobs to support that much money going around. There's only so much money that can go around to pay everybody.
Yeah.
If we've got 8 billion people in this world and everybody's making $200,000, it wouldn't make sense. And it's the harsh laws of the universe. There's going to be always a pendulum. There's always going to be the top and there's going to be the bottom. There's going to be people in the middle. And I feel that, no, not everyone can afford to buy based on their current job or wherever they're getting income from. But it's a tough topic, you know, it really is. But I do think as a buyer, I mean, when I look at an article like this that literally states mortgage rates hit 5.9%, highest level since 2008, I get excited. Only because I know there's less people out buying right now. I know there's a lot more people coming to the market, and it gives a certain amount of people an opportunity to go out and compete. And even like you, Sadie, I'll be honest with you, I think there's a big debunk in this country of what it takes to buy. A lot of people can buy and not even realize they can. You don't need to be a very successful millionaire to go purchase a home. You know what I mean? My little sister, my little brother, I know people that are out purchasing homes that don't have that much money, but they were able to scrape a small down payment together and figure out what that mortgage is going to be. In all reality, you get a mortgage around $3,000. What are you going to pay in rent anyways? You're paying that in rent. Am I wrong?
No.
Like these millennials, what these millennials don't understand is what they're paying in rent is probably more than what most people pay in mortgage. And that's the honest truth, because these people are charging rent know that. They know they can't afford the down payment. So if a millennial like you who's doing minimum wage were to budget correctly or learn how to budget correctly over a 3-year, 4-year period of time, in my opinion, you can put enough together for a down payment. And really you can still... Things have changed, Shar. I know we haven't seen an FHA loan for forever.
They raised the limits, we would.
But I feel you can find crafty ways to figure out how to put a little amount of money on. You can do 5% for God's sakes.
Well, and the other thing, too, I think what people are not really focusing on is adjustable rate mortgages. Because when interest rates went up years ago, everyone flipped to adjustable rate mortgage.
Yes.
How many first-time home buyers live and stay in that home 5 to 8 years?
No one.
So why would they want a 30-year fix when they know that's not going to be their forever home or their second home?
Exactly.
So the adjustable rate mortgage, you know, for
sounds like a seminar.
A clear thinking millennial should be absolutely looking for that opportunity.
Well, and I remember we talked about this like probably months ago, before, like probably 5 or 6 months ago, when Jason was here.
Yeah.
And he was talking about ARMs and adjustable rate mortgages. Anyway,
I was like, ARMs.
For the non,
Okay.
And he was saying, like, if you ask, like, he was kind of singled me out, and he was like, if you ask your parents, they're probably going to say, don't get that. You're going to get screwed. No way. Because they're scarred from 2008.
Yeah.
They're like, don't do it, don't do it.
Yeah.
But the more he explained it, the more it made sense to me. I've never lived anywhere besides my parents' home for more than like 2 or 3 years.
Okay.
I never bought a house.
Yeah.
But it sounds like a legit thing. And maybe we can ask him that when he's here. But
what's a legit thing?
ARMs.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it sounds legit. And my parents are like, no, because they're scarred from 2008. So I think we should ask him that when he's here for sure.
Well, there's all kinds of different ARMs. There's riskier ARMs, and there's also ARMs that are very clear and I would say more bulletproof, where you don't have a lot of fallback or negative. You don't want a negative ARM. So I guess that's really true. The term to use is that
you went too positive arms.
You went too positive arms. But my point is that it was really at one time a negative arm was so popular, and those are the people who actually got hurt the most because they went into foreclosure. Because at the end of the day, they paid no interest, only principal. So their balance increased. So when they tried to sell it or move, say, to the next home or even put it on the market, they owed more than it was worth.
Wow. You know, guys, you should be tuning in here every single week to get this knowledge as you have questions and need clarity on where the market is. We have someone like Shar just spitting knowledge, telling you guys what you should be doing being a buyer or a seller in this market. Shar, thanks for some great knowledge this week. Congrats.
You're welcome.
Okay, so I'm going to move on a little bit, ladies. This is another article. It's from Inman. Inman, I've always respected them very, very much. This article says mortgage demand flattens as rates again make another run towards 6%. So we're on this trend on headlines today on the rates being increased from last year, and it's very interesting. Let me just kind of open this up. I'm gonna log in. Let me just do this really quickly. You know, it's so funny on my computer. I have Chrome and I have Safari, and my account is for Safari, but this is on Chrome. Okay, so here we are. It says mortgage rates flatten. This is from Inman. Says, with the industry and the market changing faster than ever, make plans to come together with the best community. This is not what I'm trying to read. It says, home buyers' demand for mortgage was essentially flat last week as rates for a 30-year fixed loan continue to climb towards 6%. By the way, I'm still in the boat that I hope we see 8% this year for a very short period of time, just to really bring some inventory. I know, Shar, I say it only for inventory reasons, nothing else.
Well, that's okay because it'll be an adjustable for 5.
Exactly. It says the Mortgage Bankers Association Weekly Mortgage Application Survey, all of these long words, shows demand for purchase loans fell by a seasonally adjusted 1% last week when compared to the week before that was down 23% from a year ago. Requests to refinance were down 1% last week, week over week, and 83% down from a year ago. So, Shar, you're right, refis are down 83%. With the 30-year fixed rate rising to the highest level since mid-June, application volumes for both purchases and refinance loans dropped. So this makes sense from the conversation that we had earlier, if you remember. Said NBA chief economist Mike Frantoli in a statement, recent economic data will likely prevent any significant decline in mortgage rates in the near term, but the strong job market depicted in the August data should support housing demand. There is no sign of a rebound in purchase applications yet, but the robust job market and an increase in housing inventory should lead to an eventual increase in purchase activity. Inman, you put out some good stuff. Requests to refinance accounted for 37% of the total applicants, up from 33% from the previous week, so up 0.5%. The adjustable rate mortgage ARM, the ARM share of activity remained unchanged at 8.5%. The optimal blue mortgage market shows that after retreating from a 2022 peak of 6.06% registered on June 14th, rates of a 30-year fixed conforming loans once again flirting with 6%. And I can keep going down this article, but I think we kind of understand the whole point. They feel rates are going up. Man, I personally love articles like this because if you're savvy, you've bought or sold in the past, this gives, like Sadie was saying, 2 years ago when she got in the market or she started working here, she thought buying a home just looked ridiculous. She was out at Havasu, I was out in La Quinta, and we both had no conversation with each other about the market, and we were both looking at property. Shar also said that buying property right now is a good opportunity. So I don't think we're the only 3 idiots in California. Mm-hmm. And again, this is why I keep saying, watching this podcast can bring so much great value because you've got 3 very smart people that understand the market that are debunking all these articles that really show you clarity and give you knowledge about how to pivot and how to transition in this market right now, because the smart people are moving right now. When there's greed, be fearful. When you're fearful, be greedy. And now's a good time to go out there and purchase property, especially with all the economic conditions. So again, 6% does not scare me. It never really has. I think any smart kid that went to college or not can see that it's a really good time right now. And maybe I'm just crazy, but I don't think so. What do you guys think?
Well, I think with every market changes, shifts, whatever, there's always going to be the pros and cons. And I do see that you have to understand that when the market shifts up, interest rates go up.
Yeah.
People are still buying and selling no matter what the season because it's based on need. And then the flip side to that. I'm sorry. So
you're gonna edit this out. You're gonna edit this out, Brian. But Mom, come on, get closer to that. Get closer to that object.
All right. Okay, you got it. Stop it.
Don't edit that part out.
Stop it.
Come on, Shar, are you afraid?
Now you've just lost my train of thought. But my whole thought behind all that was that when the market changes and shifts, it will come through another shift. Interest rates will come down. Refinances will become big again.
Yeah.
And people will be catching up on trying to catch that low interest rate. And at the same time, there's the need to buy and sell no matter what the market shifts to.
I agree. We noticed, we mentioned a bunch of reasons why people are buying and selling right now.
Not a whole lot, and no, maybe not a high inventory, maybe not a lot of sales. But, the point is that the market will continue.
I agree completely. I'm going to do a quick shift for you guys right now because based on this 6% interest increase, it's very interesting because I firmly believe it's a great time to purchase. I think it's a great time to buy. I think it's a great time to purchase. I also think it's a great time to sell. I think economic conditions are very healthy. I think there's a lot of equity in the market. I think inventory is increasing. But it's crazy. Over the last 10 years, Sharon, you and I can talk about this for days. Sadie, you're kind of dipping into this for the first time. But Shar, what's crazy to me is all I'm reading are news articles over the last month of these huge, you ready for this? These huge tech companies that kind of got into real estate over the last 10 years. You got your Redfins, you got your Zillows, you got your HomeLights, you got your ELPs, you got UpNest, and you got this and that, and you got tech this, and you got tech that, and you got HomeBot, and you got this, that, and the other. Shar, they're all hurting. All these companies that put so much money trying to wipe us off this planet in real estate, they're all hurting. So this is actually another Inman article, and it says mortgage company Home Point laying off hundreds of workers. And this isn't the first one that I'm going to talk to you about. There's actually a couple articles that I'm going to bring up from different companies that are laying off people. As we know, Compass laid off 10% of their workforce. Redfin laid off 10% of their workforce. Zillow laid off 10% of their workforce. And now we are talking about Home Point laying off hundreds of workers. So here's the article. It says I didn't know this. The nation's third largest wholesale mortgage lender, Ann Arbor, Michigan, Home Point, is laying off hundreds of workers across the organization in a move to cut costs by more than $100 million in a year in response to an extremely challenging, in parentheses, lending environment. In reporting, a $44.1 million second quarter loss in August 11, parent company Home Point Financial Corp said it had originated $21.8 billion in mortgages the first half of the year, less than half of the $54.9 billion in loans funded during the same period in 2021 when mortgage rates were low, spurred by a boom in refinancing. While the company said it had reduced expenses and its origination departments by 17% While the company said it had reduced expenses in its originations department by 17% from first quarter, it warned that it's preparing to implement additional cutting cost reinsurances. So I'm just saying, it's not the first cut this company's already made. It's making a second cut from being down. Wow. Okay, so just really quickly, I'm just blown away on this article right now. These articles get me going. My blood flows. These additional measures include layoffs that will number in the hundreds, the company spokesman confirmed to Inman on Friday. We're in the process of taking a painful step in reducing our workforce to ensure Home Point is best positioned to navigate the current high rate, low margin environment. The company said in a statement, it is difficult to say goodbye to our associates whose dedication to our partners and customers have greatly contributed to our company's success in our first 7 years of business. According to the Workers' Adjustment and Retaining Notification WARN Act, Home Point filed with officials in Arizona, Florida, Michigan, Texas. The layoffs will begin November 1st. Man, be shitty to be part of that company right now, huh?
Well, I think it's...
Do I have my job tomorrow?
I think a lot of companies are in the financial sector have had a lot of difficulty.
Why?
Because the market shift and people are not refinancing.
Okay, what else?
And there are less buyers buying.
Okay.
And I think that it's just a part of the correction. There was too many. It was inflated. It was inflation. Inflation was affecting real estate as well.
I hear you. But sometimes you can get ahead of yourself too. Sometimes you can expand too much. Sometimes you can grow too fast.
Too soon, too fast.
In my opinion, all these companies grew too fast, too quickly. They weren't expecting or they weren't preparing for a shift this quickly. They weren't putting reserves away. They weren't doing smart things, in my opinion. They were all out celebrating. They were all like, this is never going to end. Oh my God, this is forever, forever, forever. And then all of a sudden, things shifted and the tide went out and all their pants are down.
Yeah. It happened in 2002 to 2006.
Because these are tech companies that are hurting right now. You know what I'm not seeing hurting? I'm not seeing Bank of America cut 10% of their workforce. I'm not seeing Wells Fargo cut 10% of their workforce. I'm not seeing Citibank. It's these real estate tech companies that are, I don't know the exact terminology that I'm looking for, but I feel like tech companies grow so fast, so quickly. They add, and they don't look expenses. And all of a sudden, the next thing you know, if anything happens in market conditions, they are the first ones to go under. Am I wrong in stating that? Am I going to get sued for saying that, Sadie?
Well, I'm not a lawyer, but I will say that tech companies definitely they overshoot. Because they grow really fast.
Well, they have to.
Like
seed money, right?
Yeah, my sister works for tech companies and has forever, and she worked for Snapchat, and we're not gonna get sued for this, so don't worry about it. She worked for Snapchat, and they expanded so quickly, and then within a matter of like 2 weeks, they cut all of their, not all of them, but they cut their force by probably like half. It was crazy. They just were like, sorry, bye, give us your laptop, you have to leave. And that's how it goes.
That's crazy.
It was brutal. And it was because their market was like, Facebook had bought Instagram. Instagram started stories.
Feels like the mob.
Stories killed Snapchat a little bit. Yeah.
Wow.
And it's the same thing with real estate. All these tech companies that wanted to invest in real estate and wanted to be real estate tech companies grew really, really fast. They expanded the way the market was expanding, and they didn't understand clearly that the market can shift pretty quickly. And the bigger your numbers, so we have a group of 15, 16 people, but if you have a business of 20,000, 30,000 people all working in some cloud, then your 5%, 10% cut is thousands of people. So, or at least hundreds. So that's just how it works, and that's how tech companies work. And it's a volatile place to be.
It is. I think my concern is I read these articles, you see 10% of all these huge companies being shaved off, and it benefits all the other article or headlines saying the market's collapsing, or we're declining, or rates are up 6%, or whatever it may be. It feeds into that fuel for their fire. And in my opinion, it doesn't matter. The fact that they cut 10% off their workforce from Redfin, in all reality, Redfin's a shitty company. They should have cut 50% of their workforce because they shouldn't have been there to begin with. But that's neither here nor there. So when I see these articles, I guess I just get fired up because I don't feel it's a good representation to market conditions.
I have a question for Shar.
Yeah. Okay,
so like let's say in like the 90s, you were working in real estate, right? Okay, so back then, it's hard for like me to imagine, but there's not really computers. There's definitely not iPhones. There's not a cloud. There's none of that stuff.
Nope.
Were there brokerages that were thousands of people deep, or were they like us where it was 15 people, 20 people, like they were small teams? Were you working in such?
I love this.
I'm curious.
Great question, Sadie.
Thanks.
Yeah. They were just small offices, and everyone was under a brokerage, obviously. And I mean, there were very small boutique offices anywhere. And it was unfortunate because back then you felt like you had to be under an umbrella of a corporate office.
Century 21 ruled the world, Sadie.
They
did.
And I was with them for 20 years.
She had a gold jacket.
What does that mean?
I actually had the World Globe.
There's a jacket.
Which is the highest achievement you can get with Century 21.
You did,
Wow.
with a gold jacket.
I had the World Globe.
It's a very ugly gold jacket that you get like winning the Masters, but it's called it's a gold jacket you get, and it's copper gold.
But
and it means you worked at Century 21. You go on listening presentations with this jacket on.
So being in the business as long as I have, I've realized that these corporate companies have a middle level of where you are boots on the ground. You're working your ass off every day. You're meeting clients. Your phone's 24/7, and you're doing the best you can to service your clients. And then you pay a corporate level. They do absolutely nothing for you. So basically what you have to realize that these boutique offices started all these companies that, like Eric said, the startup companies were all basically small companies started up, and then they took out that middle layer of what most agents felt they needed as an umbrella. And I honestly think that sometimes you work towards a goal to be more independent, but basically the bottom line is you want to service your client. Mm-hmm. So, I can't take the credit too far away from how these startup companies started, but they just went the wrong way. They didn't really they didn't hear the voices of the agents that are actually working.
I love her so much because she took my past topic and your question and merged them together.
She made it one big sandwich.
So I understand
what about just the fact that her question is about where you worked in the 90s?
Yeah, I said that.
The size of the brokerage.
Right. Was there anything else? What was like the biggest brokerage you had heard of?
I did not have a
the
cell
biggest
phone.
number.
I did not have a cell phone. I had a pager, so people would page their phone number, and then I had to find a landline to call them. That was kind of awkward to think about it, that we go backwards. I didn't have a computer.
Okay, answer her question.
You're
not listening to her question.
I am listening. I'm
sorry.
I have things on my ears.
Yeah, they're called headphones to listen to. She asked you the largest brokerage in the 90s. Oh my God! Not that you didn't have a cell phone.
Yeah, but I mean, like, what was like the number? Like, what if you went and saw a team? Like, what was the biggest team you would have seen? Like, number of agents, like in an office.
Probably 50 at the most.
In one office, 50?
Yeah.
Wow.
It was small. Like I can name them.
50's big.
But yeah, but think about like Compass and stuff. That's thousands of agents.
Yeah.
Well, no. When she says 50, that's just for an office.
But keep in mind,
the brokerage of Century 21. Hold on. This brokerage of Century 21 was thousands of agents.
Oh, thousands across the United States.
That's what her question is.
No. So thousands across the United States.
Okay.
I'm talking about just local offices. Yeah, just local offices for smaller units, and each was owned independently, so everyone was running their ship differently.
It's the same, Sadie, as it is now.
Yeah, just less
There's
technology.
just a lot more of brokerages around. There's a lot more C21s, a lot more Remaxes, a lot more Keller Williams. Back then, there was probably like one per city. Now there's like 8,
Yeah.
But independent offices are kind of taking over, I would say, the large brands, because the large brands are not really communicating or connecting with their agents and the office and brokers.
Yeah, they've been losing it for a while. They've been losing it for a decade.
There's a huge gap.
Yeah, agreed.
Definitely.
Well, the gap is what we're stepping into, because what we offer to agents and what we offer to the market, what we can offer our clients, is not what any big box brokerage can offer. We offer so much more. We're so more curated to our buyers and sellers.
True.
We don't have to follow standards and guidelines that they put, you have to do this and you have to do that. No, we can put stuff specifically for our buyers and sellers that fit their lifestyle and fit what they're trying to do, and not what our company is telling us to do.
Correct.
So I completely agree with you. The boutique brokerages have a lot more leverage these days to support their buyers and sellers.
Right.
Kind of like the same way I think mortgage companies, lenders, the small mom and pop lenders have more leverage to be able to adjust their packages for buyers, as opposed to going to Bank of America or going to Wells Fargo. They're so cookie cutter. You have to fit within what their requirements are, as you go down to someone else and like, hey, yeah, we'll hook you up.
Yeah.
It's just, I feel like that's with everything. Am I wrong?
Yeah, it's like if you go to a restaurant, if you go to an Applebee's, and the bartender, they're not going to hook you up. But if you go to a mom and pop restaurant, the bartender,
of course,
they're going to hook you up. It's the same thing. It's all the same.
Yep.
It's relationships.
Yeah.
I love you. It's relationships.
It is. That's like the easiest way to put it. It's relationships.
That's so true. And in real estate, it's relationships really dictate how things are really going to turn out. Am I wrong?
Yeah.
As we are winding things down, I do have a couple last articles. This is something I thought was very interesting. We're not going to touch on it too much. I just want to get a quick 30 seconds from each of you on this one. It says, against the odds, some home buyers are returning to newly built homes. So it's pretty much saying new homes are kind of picking up. I will state, I did read some things on new build last week that building is still difficult for a lot of builders right now, just with high price of materials, interest rates still, low amount of buyers. They're still paddling upstream right now. It's still pretty difficult, but it's nice to see an article saying against odds, some buyers are returning. At the end of the day, our populations are always going to be increasing. The longer we have our lifespan of a human species continues to get past 100, this, that, and the other, and more babies are coming in this world, people need homes to buy. So I encourage all builders to keep building, because they need to be filled, and there are people to fill them.
I agree.
Yeah. Okay. Moving on really quickly.
Oh wait, new builds. I do want to say.
Talk to me, Sadie.
I think where we're seeing a lot of development in our area is like the further east you go. Like Eastvale is now building basically
It's land.
a shopping area, like it's land. And so they're building out, and that's where they're building new stuff, because you're still going to get a new construction out there cheaper than a 1956 house here.
Yes.
And people are willing to take the 30-minute drive in traffic to get to work versus 5 minutes. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So I think that's where the new builds are coming in. I can't say for the country or for even the state, but when I drove to Havasu, I was like, whoa. And even on the drive back, I'm like, they've already built so much in the last 3 days I've been gone.
Yeah, I
So
agree.
they're developing like crazy.
That's a good thing. It's a good thing. It's good for everybody. I will touch on this really quickly. Kind of goes to the entire topic of real estate and shit. Episode 4. It says home equity has reached new heights. What happens next? This is from Inman as well. It says gains in household real estate equity have far outpaced. Gains in household real estate equity have far outpaced growth in the U.S. mortgage debt, according to new numbers from the Federal Reserve Board. I think that's amazing. We've been talking about that earlier. I've been saying this for the last year. This is one of the main aspects, I feel, why we will not hit a recession in the housing market. Just so many people have equity in their homes as opposed to 2007, 2008. No one had equity in their home. Well, they were actually negative on equity.
They were negative on equity because the market dropped. But what a lot of people did is they took equity loans out.
That's what they did. They refinanced. They took HELOCs out. They did all these things to leverage on leverage. Cars and boats. If you lived in Rancho Cucamonga and you didn't have a boat in 2007, you didn't live in Rancho Cucamonga.
That's true.
And it's nice to see these articles hit the lines, to read these articles, because this is what tells me, guys in the trenches, guys that are actually understanding where market conditions are going, that it's good. It's good to know that there's home equities increasing, and it's at record paces right now. So I like that one as well. Moving forward, as my favorite part of this segment, I always love the shit part of this segment. I like going over some really loose articles about what's happening.
Let's do it.
I'm going to first bring up the Yee events of last week. Shar, you probably don't know who Kanye West is, but he's a rapper. He's a personality. He's entertainment. He's also a designer. Okay, so you know who he is. He's having some drama between Adidas and his contract. I actually was listening to a Soul Savvy podcast over the weekend from 2 lawyers that were giving some insight on what his options were moving forward. It doesn't sound like Kanye is in a great spot, kind of in a rock and a hard place, trying to bully his way out of this. The fact is that he has contracts signed, but they also think that if anyone's going to get away with this, it's going to be Kanye. You know, who else can actually get away with this kind of stuff? But just so you know, he roasted the entire Adidas board on his social media. Every CEO, every vice president, every marketing director, whatever it may have been. If you worked at Adidas and you were on the board, he roasted you last week publicly and ate you up and spit you out. So I'm interested to see how Adidas responds. I have not seen a response yet, but I'll tell you this. I don't care who you are. I don't care if you're Kanye. I don't care if you're God. I don't care who you are. You disrespect a company like he is, in my opinion, and don't get me wrong, they might be doing some things that he might not be approving of, but they've made him almost a billionaire. They've made him so much money. And don't get me wrong, yes, it's his products, but it's through their platform, and they've both been successful. There's a line I draw where you just stop. So as much as I love Yee and I love Yeezy, I just feel like it went overboard. And if I was Adidas, I would cut him off so hard. I would suffer the losses. I'd find someone else to come in to make new shoes and not feel I'm handcuffed by a guy named Yee. But I respect him. I respect his push. I think artists should have more rights than they do when they have contracts with big companies and collaborations. It does seem like these companies try to handcuff you and not even you realize you're handcuffed. So the moment you step out of line, they're like, hey, here's your contract. You can't do this. So I feel like there needs to be a shift. But the way he went about it, it's not my flavor.
Tell
me, Sadie,
think that...
Have you seen it? Have you seen any of the drama online?
Oh, okay, I have, but also I really think that he's going after the Kardashians and like Kris Jenner and Kim, and they're scarier. The devil works hard, but Kris Jenner works a lot harder because she is intense. And he's been posting stuff on Instagram. Like, I mean, he's like, Kim has diarrhea every day. What's wrong with, like, he's posting some crazy stuff. Posting their screenshots, posting Chris, like.
The conversations,
Something's, I mean, and a part of me thinks he's like doing these things for a marketing ploy sometimes.
Someone said.
Like, I'm like, what if it's all
an
just
album's
marketing?
dropping.
Yeah, something's going on. Or a new line with a different.
Yeah, a new shoe's coming out. Like, this is how he does it.
Yeah.
I've heard that too.
It could totally be that too. There's so many different ways to go about it. I mean, it's
bad
taste. He's got some mental health issues too.
He does have mental health issues, but you know what?
But you
have to take personal responsibility.
Oh, yeah.
You can't. You know what? The fact that he always relies on his mental health issues, like, go F yourself, bro. Like, come on, we're all adults here. Stop playing that card. You know, like, we all have mental issues. Yeah. Just because you do, what do you get? A get out of jail free card every time, Kanye?
Every time.
You're a billionaire. I'm over your excuses. You got mental health issues? Use $1 billion of that to go find a cure for yourself, bro. Okay, I'm going to digress.
Anyway, I just think that sometimes drama sells, and sometimes that you have to make a story out of nothing.
Yeah,
and
I agree.
I think you can escalate that, and I think that everyone has an opinion, and the next thing you know, he's got people in his court pushing him, and then he's got, the other side going, yeah, let's do this, and all of it is fake. I don't believe hardly any of it. That's just my opinion.
Damn.
Tell him.
Called out by Shar.
That's right.
Fake. I love it. Okay, moving forward. Queen Elizabeth.
Oh, so sad.
I'll be in a jovial kind of like positive spirit. I'm in another text message with a bunch of my friends, and one of my friends commented today. He's like, out of all people, I thought she'd have lived forever. Like, you just thought Queen Elizabeth was literally going to, like, they somehow 10 years ago took her body and reincarnated it, and, like, she's just going to be, like, just alive forever. And what are those things they did with Tupac back in the day when he was on stage? They made him a hologram.
Like a hologram.
Yeah. I'll be honest with you. I thought she was a hologram for the last 5 years already. So.
There's so many theories that, like, they were robots, and, like,
seriously?
Harry has actually been in LA for, like, 5 years, and they just used a robot.
Oh, stop it.
But I honestly.
There's some truth to that, Sadie.
I think anyone dying is so sad. I know absolutely nothing about the Queen or anything about that. So.
My wife's mom's crying today. Guarantee it. Kathy's they're such common folk. They love her. Like, I can guarantee it's a rough day for her.
Yeah, people. I know there's like she's like God to England,
she is.
Or at least it seems
she
like.
Is.
I don't know, but
she is.
I mean, if you look at her history and the years that she's reigned and everything, her whole life has been dedicated to be the queen for their country. Mm-hmm. So everything she's ever done in life has been for others.
Yes.
And so I just admire her for her strength to show up every day for how many years?
1 million.
Honestly. And she's lived such a long, beautiful life,
Yeah,
so.
she's a vampire.
Yeah, sure.
How old was she?
96.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty old.
She was killing it.
96 divided by like 4 or 8, depending. It's like 12 sitting U.S. presidents.
Honestly,
that's crazy.
She's amazing. I mean, I have to say that.
I've never had it. Out of everyone in this world that has some type of stature, or a prince, or a queen, or a king, or a president, or a czar, whatever you call it, I had more respect for her than anyone else that have ever sat at any top position. She's just, there's something about her aura. There's something about the way she handles things. She's just so calm, cool, and collected. Doesn't seem like a lot of people can get under her skin. Even with all the family drama that happened with Harry leaving, with his wife, whatever that happened. She just seemed so collected through it all. Didn't seem like it fazed her that much. She ran like a queen. She didn't let the personal side affect the perception of what people thought of her. She ran it so collected and so just clean. When you read articles, it was just you expected the article to say the queen did that almost. It was like nothing out of whack. You wouldn't hear anything crazy coming from the queen.
I'm excited for the movies that are going to come out because there's a lot of Princess Diana movies. There's like The Crown, which isn't about her, but a little before her. We're gonna get some.
Wasn't there one that came out called The Queen recently?
I think so. And someone
was it about her though?
Yeah. Someone was her.
Yeah.
Even more.
So now they're gonna print all new money.
Yeah.
So they have to take all the.
No, I bet you that doesn't change.
No. They'd already talked about it. I read it on the Today Show.
Why would they do that? They would want to have her name live on forever, right? She's the queen. Wait, let me ask you guys a question.
Like bullocks.
I got a question for bullocks. I got a question. So I've never thought about this till right now. Who's the next queen?
Now it's the king.
No, it's the king.
John was telling me that's the only reason I know.
King Charles.
Wait, which one's King Charles? One of her brothers?
Her son.
Oh, the one that's with, what's her name?
Camilla.
No, that's not her name, Char.
Yeah, Camilla. She was a duchess, and now she's like
Camilla.
queen consort. That's
the
what
one that
John
has
said.
their 3 kids? The
No.
youngest.
No,
that would be her grandson.
Yeah, so Diana died, which was his wife.
Who's Diana's son?
Died.
Who's that? Yeah, right. Who's Diana's sons? That's who I thought. He's not king?
No, it's his dad.
Oh, his dad.
She's grandma to Charles and Harry.
And Charles is not connected to the whole sex scheme that was connected to all the people?
That's the brother.
That's the brother?
That's
See, all these people, I'm confused.
They're wild.
They're a wild
Charles
bunch, aren't they? You know what? Let's be honest right now. I've always thought about this, and Carrie and I always talk about this to this day. Like, it's a huge thing of mine. I never want to be that wealthy. I've never wanted to be that wealthy. It's not anything that is in my realm of want in this world. I feel when you hit a point of wealth, when it's that much, life's no longer fun anymore. There's no sacrifices. There's no you don't have to strive for things anymore, and you get really crazy. Like you murder people.
Yeah, look at Kanye.
You've sex things happen. Like what gets you going has to be so much more heightened.
You go to the dark side.
You do, because you have to get heightened so much to hit this serotonin in your head.
Euphoria.
Yeah.
So you're in a basement killing people to get off, some weird ass shit. So
it goes that far.
I mean, we can go into a whole other.
Char, we're so happy you're on this segment today.
It doesn't have to go that far.
But I'm being honest with you. It's her brother's obviously involved in this, so I wonder what this really entails. Who else is from the family? Was he the only guy?
It's Charles's brother.
Oh, so the king's brother's a wacko?
It was her other son.
So that's her other son.
So,
but didn't Harry have things? Didn't something happen with Harry too?
There's one good brother, one bad brother?
Not Harry.
Yeah.
Which one's Harry?
With Harry too, the ginger.
What did he do wrong other than married the crazy woman?
There was also a sex thing that happened with him, like a tape. It wasn't crazy.
He was in college or high school.
Yeah,
or something.
it was
He
something
had a
like
sex
that.
tape?
It was
Good for
something.
him.
Well, I don't want to start rumors, but
Who
I doubt
cares?
the queen or rest in peace. I doubt Charles is going to see this, but
I'm
There
sure
is some-
No
I'm
one
sure
from
they
the royal
all-
families
they
will ever
all
see this.
Know everything, guys.
The
you know
only-
what though? If it weren't for sex tapes, the Kardashians wouldn't even be
That's
the Kardashians.
what I was going to say.
So.
Sex tapes are good. And just so you know, they're not going to watch
Can we
this.
make that the title of this?
Only people who are watching this are us three over and over and over 10 times. So don't worry, Char. No one will be watching this.
Char does not approve this message.
Char, as I move forward, let me ask you a question, Char. What did you think? I mean, actually, I'm not going to get over it. Actually, this is what I'm going to talk about. Going in California, living here, and everything with the market. I want to talk about gas prices. I want to talk about electric vehicles. So I just saw here that it says the straight flex alert. It says dismiss. Grid operators. Man, hold on. I got to put this in the right. Says grid operators bump up emergency energy requests as hours extended for the 9th straight flex alert, saying that we're using too much power, too much electricity in California. So they're actually asking people to limit the electricity, not charge their vehicles, turn off your air conditioning, limit your electricity for lights. But by 2035, we're no longer allowed to have gas cars in this state, and everything's required to be electric. But they told us over the weekend to not charge our electric cars. What the hell is going on?
So we're going to have to save gas somewhere to put in our cars, then no longer can buy it at a gas station?
This is the question I'm going to ask. I'm just going off of what I'm reading.
Are we not allowed to we're just not allowed to buy gas cars?
They
or are we going to,
they're not making them.
Okay, they're not making them.
They're
But
not, no.
They're not going to be like,
wrong.
oh,
You
gas,
can't
you're
buy
off.
them nor produce them in California.
Yeah, but I could have my Jeep. So I have my Jeep now.
Yeah, you can
So
have
I'm
your Jeep in
okay.
2035?
Hell yeah. It's a
Okay.
Jeep thing.
So
All
they're
right,
gonna
all
close
right,
down
all right.
Gas stations.
Of course
right?
I'll have it.
Yeah, so this is bad for gas stations.
So my thoughts are, why do we have solar if they're going to turn off all of our electricity? That means solar doesn't exist, because if you power your car by solar energy, Doesn't
You
that
don't.
make a
You
difference?
power your car by lithium battery,
Right, but you have to hook it up to your power.
which could be on a solar grid on your house,
Right.
which every new build in California has to have one, which somebody got paid off on that one. I'm
Can
going to
someone
some
just-
lobbyist got paid
Sunrun.
on that one in
Right, can
California.
someone just turn that off?
Gavin or Newsom.
Can someone just turn
Daddy
that
knows
off,
them.
and then no matter if you have solar or not, you still are going to be out electricity?
It's a good question. I just think it's ridiculous to see articles talking about turning off your electricity, limiting your electricity, but saying by 2035 you can't buy a gas car and you have to buy electricity. It just doesn't. Some things just don't add. Like it's ass backwards, is it not ass backwards?
I'll tell you what was really funny when you said that.
Tell me.
It just got me. I just remember being a teenager, and they told me that I could not ever have a phone hooked up to my wall. And I'm thinking they're going to take away my phone from my house that I can't use.
Like a cell phone?
No,
And-
she's a teenager.
As a teenager, I had a phone.
Yeah, plugged into the wall.
Yes, in my room.
Yeah.
And that they said that they were no longer selling them. We can no longer hook them up to our walls, and that we're going to go to sell
Yeah.
at some point.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I thought that was weird. I couldn't imagine in my head.
No, I get what she's saying. So what she's saying is like,
No, I get it.
You don't
She
know
a
what you don't know.
rotary phone to a cell
Yes.
phone blew her mind away.
It's just like when someone said that, I go, "What? They're gonna take away my phone in my house?"
Was this in 1921?
1922.
Sorry.
But you know what?
It was in the 70s.
There's got to be some sort of plan to fix the whole grid situation, electricity.
I agree.
Like maybe there's another. I can't.
Same with
imagine
their
there's
water.
not
They need to
something
fix the
else.
water while they're at it. If they can fix the water problem and the electricity problem, like shit's good. Like, let's be honest right now. Can we be like the Arabs? Can we be like people in Dubai? Can we figure out how to, I don't even know the exact terminology, turn salt water into fresh water? We live on a coast of California. We're surrounded by water. We should not be in a water crisis. We should be using, it's like dissolvent or desolify.
Desalination.
Desalination.
However, we dump everything into our
Yeah.
ocean.
We can still
Literal
desalinate.
Well, we have to now. Then we also have to separate all the fecal matter, whatever else we're dumping in.
Everything dumps
the
into
ocean.
the ocean.
Do you guys not understand the water that you drink from geyser or whatever the hell you guys buy your water from? Where do you think that water comes from? Let's be honest right now. Where do you guys think this water comes from? You think the water freshly you think this freshly comes from the sky into your water bottles?
From a waterfall. Have you seen the Fiji? From the rain.
I
have no idea.
Fiji's the only water company that actually gets their shit from a well. Everything else, they're taking recycled water and they are taking all the chemicals and things out of it and they're putting it in a bottle and sending it right back to you. You guys know that, right?
I'm
not clear on those
I know
facts.
that we don't have the proper desalination like process in America
It'll take 25 years
to do it, but they're
Where do you
probably
get that
working
data
on it.
from?
Her head.
I'm thinking if I had to do it, it would take me
25 years.
25 years.
If I gave myself a time budget, 25. That'll do it.
I love it. So getting for our last topic today. This is the first one for me. I had to put this on here because I've not experienced this before. We live on the West Coast. When we have natural disasters, they come in form of your environment moving, and they're called earthquakes. That's pretty much the most that we had, and we haven't had an earthquake since 1994 that actually caused us to think. And 1994 to 2022 is
wasn't even
almost 20
alive.
years. You weren't even alive.
No.
So you haven't really experienced a natural disaster in California. Oh, Sadie,
No.
94 was a blast. Let me tell you, it was fun to live through that earthquake because nothing happened to me. I was fine. I was in a field and everything was fine. But for some people, it was not. But in general, I think earthquakes are kind of fun. But what I haven't experienced is a hurricane.
So your house.
So 94, you were 10.
Yeah, 10. It's like being on a roller coaster. So we have a natural disaster coming. I'm not sure this is going to happen, so I just want to talk about it. And I'm looking at this map, and it looks like it's in Mexico right now. But we got a hurricane coming. It says a hurricane will make its closest pass to Southern California in 25 years. So you were definitely not born. You are 20. You're 26, right?
I'm 26.
Wow. So when you were 1,
Old.
there was a hurricane. Adding to the state's weather woes. It says more extreme weather is in the forecast for Southern California this week as a hurricane spins in the Pacific Ocean coast of Mexico. As it moves north, it could bring heavy rainfall and the threat of flash flooding, and far from providing relief of California's extreme heat. The hurricane's wind could actually push temperatures higher in some locations. crazy.
That's rude.
Well,
You know what, Sadie?
I heard.
Just because it's about weather and it's an article, just like our real estate, this could be BS.
I don't
you know?
ever believe my weather app is so wrong all the time.
Yeah, it's true.
It's called Hurricane K.
Okay, I think it was degraded to a 1. It was a 2, and it's still a 2 in Mexico, and it's been downgraded to a 1.
So the shit's over.
And
as I'm looking at it, it looks like it already made landfall.
But a 1 is pretty serious to California.
We need the rain. Bring it on.
Give me a 4, please.
No,
Give me a 4.
Rip the state apart.
No, come on.
I don't want a 4, but I'll tell you what I do want. I want a
need the
3.
rain.
I want a
We need
3.
the rain.
We need the rain.
Because a 3 will dump rain.
We're
A
gonna
1,
no,
a
we're
1
gonna-
to
we're
me
gonna-
is like drizzle.
I don't
it's
know what
gonna
any
rain.
of this
Are
feels
you
like.
positive on this, Char?
It's gonna rain.
Have you been in a
Friday
1
and Saturday.
hurricane?
Well, no.
Not until this weekend.
No. So we were.
Give me some
in
more guarantees.
South Carolina. Remember, we were at Tom Ferry
Yeah.
a couple years ago.
No, yeah.
And they told us that we had to get out of Dodge. There was a hurricane
Yeah.
4 or 5 coming.
Yeah. And what happened?
So we got an airplane.
Yeah.
And we flew out of there as quickly as we could. They were shutting down the whole city.
Yeah.
And I said, I don't want to be here. For
Yeah.
that.
Smart. But that was a 4, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, we're talking about 1s.
I know. So I'm saying 1 we can deal with.
Oh, you said 1's a lot.
Well, it's going to be a lot for us.
Yes. We're going to see how a lot 1 is for us.
I don't even know what weather is. I never go
I agree.
anywhere. I mean, my boyfriend was like, "Oh yeah, he used to live in Arkansas. We just tornadoes just like rip through my front yard. You just like put a mattress on top of you, lay underneath it. It's fine." I'm like, that doesn't sound fine to
That
me.
does
Like,
not sound
I would
fine.
lose my mind. So, and we had that windstorm for like, 12 hours and
Yeah.
lost power for maybe a day. And that was like the worst day of my life. There's branches everywhere. It was horrible.
Yeah, I hate windstorms,
But I
too.
do want some rain.
I agree.
I do want so.
I'd
But
like
I agree
some
with
rain.
Shar. A 1 to us is probably like nothing to anyone. Yeah.
You're right.
Anyone else in the country.
You're right.
But I'm ready.
But for us, it could be a lot.
Yeah.
I'm in for a 1.
Well, I think what we're not used to is flooding.
Yeah.
A lot of rain at one time and flooding.
Yeah. I agree. All right. Well, it was another episode of Real Estate and Shit. Thank you, Shar Costantino, for being one of our guests today. Hopefully we see you back in the future. If you want to come on, you're always available and you're always invited to come on.
Thank you.
And then always, you guys know Sadie. Sadie, thanks for coming in
Still here.
again. And if you guys didn't even know, there's a dog on the couch. That is
yeah.
little Lewis. Don't wake him up. But that's little Lewis
that's a
Hamilton.
baby.
He's just a little baby, little pop belly.
still asleep.
Yeah, he's dead asleep. Let him back to sleep. But yeah, thanks for tuning in. I hope you guys get some good content, some good clarity on where these articles are going, to what the real truth is out there, especially in the housing market and the economy. So yes, thank you for tuning in. Please remember to subscribe below, leave comments below, and another episode of Real Estate and Shit. And we're gonna see you guys next week. Cheers.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.